And the champ is here!
It's just a man!
Give me a hell yeah!
What the Rock is cooking.
To be the man, you have to be the man! Big Papa Pump! It's your hookup!
Fallen!
Holla! At the end of
Woo, woo, woo!
Cup of coffee in the big day.
All right, happy Tuesday, everyone, and welcome to the latest edition of Working the Marks, brought to you by Famcast Media. Here, happy Thanksgiving week to all of you folks, and thank you for joining us from wherever, however, you may be doing so right now on Facebook Live via StreamYard, also on our YouTube page and all of our great social media platforms. Click that share button, folks, subscribe, and tell all your friends how much you love Working the Marks right here on Famcast Media. I am New Jersey's premier award-winning journalist and proud NAACP member, Fernando Uribe. He is the pitbull himself, Macho Rodriguez, and certainly the guy who loves having pussy on his face, the Working the Marks Iron Man, Patty Reekin. What's up, gentlemen? Happy Thanksgiving week.
Happy Thanksgiving to you too, bro.
Yeah, whatever. How's the streak? What episode are we at today? Because I need to know where my streak is at, because I'm the Working the Marks Iron Man. I'm the Cal Ripken of Working the Marks. I'm the Lou Gehrig of Working the Marks. I've been here since the beginning. I'll be here till the end. Jesus Christ, I can't put myself over anymore. If I did, I'd be you, Fernando.
You know what? I swear to God.
Allow me a moment to take this pussy off my face.
Oh, boy, I'll tell you.
I love it. I love it.
There is never a short. Actually,
I like to think that you're the Puerto Rican Eli Manning of Working the Marks. You know, just got that streak going.
You actually look better with the mask on, but I mean, don't tell me.
Oh shit!
Listen, don't hate, all right? Don't hate, all right?
But,
save that for your Monday show, all right? Save the hating for your Monday show.
FJF.
You know who I look like? I look like the guy that's in the front row at WWE with the fucking signs. That's what I look like. Right?
Right,
The fucking hat on.
That's dope, though. That's good.
Was he the Cena? Was he a Cena mark? I know there was a guy that was Blazer, who's a big Cena fan.
The guy with the Blazers. So he knew this this fucking goo, this piece of blubber, fucking this glob of fucking humanity that I believe you knew and I knew, and it's a shame the guy can't read. Speaking of people that can't read, Dee, we miss you tonight. But you know, that guy knew him, and he's a mega dork. He's a mega mark too. A lot of those guys are mega marks. But you know what? I admire their fandom. They're certainly no Vladimir, but you know, you got to give him a tip of the cap. And just like I give a tip of the cap to Liquid Death here tonight on Working the Marks, we're still fishing for sponsors. Enjoying Rest in Peach.
We are, and guys, let's get to it here. A lot
I
of
need a peach for hours.
That's right. Great movie from '97, folks. If you haven't watched Face Off, what are you waiting for? So Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's production company, guys, is working on a docuseries about the fall of WCW. So as reported by Nick Miller via WrestlingInc.com, in addition to his status as a major movie star, even though he's had some questionable movies lately, his own production company known as $7 Production, which is very significant. If you know Dwayne Johnson's life story, there was a moment in time when all he had was $7 to his name. So you want to talk about rags to riches story, that's Dwayne Johnson for sure. So in addition to producing movies, he stars in, obviously, Johnson has also endeavored to finance other projects, such as the recent Tales from the Territories, which was on Vice, which I thought was very interesting. I know Pat's not a big guy on Vice TV or Dark Side of this or Dark Side of that or Dark Side of the Territories, but great stuff. And obviously producing the documentary Stuntman along with Fighting with My Family, featuring the real life story of former WWE superstar Paige. A new report from Deadline this week indicates that that another wrestling project is on the horizon for Dwayne Johnson, and this time it's a docuseries focused on the history of World Championship Wrestling, the once dominant Turner Broadcasting promotion that folded in the early 2000s and was bought out by then WWF chairman Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Deadline say that $7 Production is partnering with Vice Media for the series, though it's not known when it's planned for the release. The report also referred to the end of WCW as, quote, mysterious, hinting that the upcoming series will focus on the reasons behind the company's downfall. WCW, as we all know, got its start in 1988. As a matter of fact, on this day in 1998, more on that later, when Ted Turner purchased the assets from Jim Crockett Promotions, turning them into a new brand that would air on his television networks. Though the company eventually rose to the challenge and even briefly was surpassing the then World Wrestling Federation, it eventually wouldn't last. The last WCW match took place in Panama City Beach, Florida, on the last Nitro in the main event, where Nature Boy Ric Flair was defeated by Sting on the last Nitro, and subsequently the company was bought out several months later once all the paperwork was finalized. Well, guys, it's interesting. When you look at this story, and certainly, a production company like Dwayne Johnson's, which has produced some good stuff for sure. And listen, I know Pat might disagree with this, but I'm a big fan of the Dark Side series. I've watched each of them. I've even watched the confidential ones where Conrad Thompson would sit there in a panel with the two producers and directors. I think it's a great series. I think it gives a perspective to fans about the business that we didn't know other than reading books and listening to podcasts, which sometimes are very subjective and sometimes outright biased. Not to say that the Dark Side episodes were not biased at some point. I'm sure they were. Certainly. I'm interested in watching this. I think that as a big WCW fan, as a guy who grew up watching NWA, loving Sting, the Horsemen, Duck the Road, the Mac and Dream, Magnum TA, Nikita Koloff, the Midnight Express. I loved all that great wrestling. And, I think we've all learned over the years, we all have our theories. We've heard every podcast in the world, from Vince Russo to Eric Bischoff to Jeff Jarrett to, take your pick. Anybody who's a former star in the business, has had their opinions about WCW. I love that Monday Night War. We kind of, believe it or not, last Friday when Collision was up against SmackDown, even though SmackDown did like a 2.2 million rating to Collision's 300,000
230,000
rating. For a brief second, guys, I was kind of flipping back and forth. I'm not going to lie to you. I kind of felt like it was, oh shit, this is like the mid 1990s during the Attitude Era. And again, just for nostalgia purposes, it was great. Obviously, better wrestling on Fox than it was on TBS. But, I love WCW. It'll be interesting to see how this is produced, who is offering to talk on the series, because not everybody's going to be willing to talk on camera, and B, how they're going to paint the demise of WCW, guys.
Well, it's very interesting that you bring it up too, and the fact that they would want to do it, because really the fall of WCW started happening in 1 year. It was the end of 97 and 98. Eric Bischoff has been on record where he's actually talked about that 1998 was their most financial successful year in the company's history, but all the backstage shit happened that year, and then so on and so forth with all the, I forget what they actually called the Vince Russo booking, like crash booking or something like that. And where he wanted to
wasn't that like 99, early 2000?
Yeah, but it all started in 98. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Is that when Russo got there?
Russo got there like at the end of 99 and 2000. That's when like the whole new where they revamped, they stripped everybody of the titles and they had all that stuff.
Gotcha.
Just some weird circumstances. But I don't know, man. I'm excited for the show. I just hearing about it right before we actually came on the air. I was excited to hear about it because I'm a massive WCW fan. I can't get enough. I love watching, at least once a year, I watch the rise and fall of WCW. I can't wait for the AEW version of that. That's going to be cool too. So, I obviously being a huge WCW fan growing up, like that was my first brand that I actually was attached to with Sting and Luger. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm hoping that they actually get good people to do it. I know that Dark Side of the Ring almost got canceled. I know that they have a Shawn Michaels episode in the vault that they haven't released yet that I guess WWE is really fighting against, which is like it's supposed to talk about everything that happens backstage, so I know that I don't know why that they haven't released it, but being a big HBK fan, I don't know if I'd actually want to watch it. I didn't really like the Chris Candido episode. I thought that was it was unnecessary. It feels like whoever runs Dark Side of the Ring really has it in for HBK, and that Chris Candido episode kind of shows that a lot. So I feel like that that was their way of getting back at them. So I'm guessing that the whole point of this is to just like really hurt the boys from back in the day. But I'll segue into Pat for that because I know Pat has really, really like specific thoughts on Dark Side of the Ring. So
Well, obviously, I don't know if you guys have heard, they also greenlit another documentary that's going to be coming out. I believe it's called Light Side of the Anus. It's about the entire anal bleaching industry. So you might want to check that out when it comes out. It should be coming out sometime soon. That being said, this kind of circles back to a theory that I've had for a very long time. I'm a big fan of Bret the Hitman Hart, as you guys are, right?
yes,
But a lot of Bret the Hitman Hart's fans are hardcore fucking marks that don't really understand the business very much and get a very, 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 very emotional about Bret and anything pertaining to Bret, particularly Michael Hickenbottom. I can say that these types of programs are good at stirring shit. They're good at causing problems. They're good at unearthing shit that kind of just went away a while back ago and fans just want to move on from. It's no surprise. Wrestlers are fucking sleazy. They're scummy. They used to do a lot of scummy, fucked up shit back in the 80s and 90s. And I'll tell you right now, if we dig into it, a lot of these guys that people love now, they wouldn't want to see them again. You know what I'm saying? But for me, it's kind of just like, yo, read a book, bro. Go read a fucking book. You know, there's a lot of dumb motherfuckers in this country. Okay? Go read a book. Go read a book about this stuff. You shouldn't have to watch Dark Side of the Ring to see all this stuff. They have done nothing but stir up negative shit. And they continue to cost people their jobs. They cost people their livelihoods in a lot of other ways. They make life difficult for legends. And again, man, it just buries the business. And it kind of just reminds people of a lot of this shit that the business is trying to shake off. You know what I'm saying? Now, I will say that they have a very anti-WWE stance. I think that's pretty obvious based on the way their program is presented and the topics.
But Pat, I mean, to be fair, and I'll let you finish though, but to be fair, I mean, I think, listen, your point is well taken about trying to bury a lot of bad stuff about the business. And I get all that. And I think it's important to do that because if you're trying to present a better optic for some time now, obviously a new corporation, a new merging, and all that. And you're right. People should read more books. Listen, I'm a bookworm as there is. But I think the same reason that I like the Dark Side of the Ring series is very much why I like Dark Side of the 90s and Dark Side of the 2000s. I'm a history buff. As a history teacher, I mean, I can't get enough about learning about history, about in anything. So I find them to be informative from a time maybe that, not to say we've forgotten about, but it's I think it's more illustrative than anything. But the reason I think it's so anti-WWE, let's be fair, marks, directors, podcasters, I mean, there's a lot of bad shit that happened in the 80s and 90s under Vince's watch. I mean, let's be honest, the rampant drug use, covering for Jimmy Snuka. I mean, I don't have enough fingers and toes and shit to name the shit. Again, I'm not saying that I'm being anti-WWE. I'm just illustrating the obvious. Like, this happened. I understand we want to bury really dark stuff, but I mean, this shit happened. And I think it's important that people have a historical, chronological perspective about this stuff. I understand it's anti-WWE.
Read a book. Read a fucking book.
Okay.
Look it up. You know what I'm saying? Like there's plenty of books about this stuff. You know, Sex, Lies, and Headlocks by Mike Mooneyham covers all this shit. It covers everything that happened with Pat Patterson and the Ring Boys and all that shit that went on. I mean, look, heinous shit that went on. Yeah. But yo, wrestling's sleazy. Wrestling's sleazy, bro. Just like you got a blue wall of silence, man. You got people that got to keep quiet about the fucking locker room and the shit that went on in there. And these people are just stirring up problems in the fucking business. And I would not be surprised if something happens to those guys. I would not, man. Because there's a lot of fucking fucked up people involved in the wrestling business that are on the outside of it. Okay?
Yeah.
And they would go and they would do whatever they have to do for their friends. So just saying.
Some people come out unscathed, though. I mean, you say that, Uribe, like, and Pat, you've mentioned it, that it hurts some of the boys in the back, but some people come out unscathed. It doesn't matter because I honestly feel like Tommy Dreamer got the worst of it for the plane ride from hell, right? And you
Rick did too. Rick did too for a while because Rick lost his gig with WWE.
He did. He lost his gig with WWE, but I mean, it was Ric Flair. A lot of people made the same comment, you know, like that was just Ric Flair. And then honestly, like the worst person that I've ever seen, not named Chris Benoit, that came out of the Dark Side of the Ring, was Cena. I felt Cena was the worst that I've ever seen. That whole Chris Canyon special, I really came out of that thinking Cena was a piece of shit. And it didn't not even hurt him at all. Like, I don't even think anybody thinks about the way he treated Canyon, the way he talked about Canyon on Howard Stern's show, the way that they abused Canyon. Like, that was a lot of that was Cena was the catalyst.
Yeah, and let's be honest too. I mean, there's some stuff that's about Cena, you know, whether or not taking away a fiance from Kenny Dykstra, Mickey James. I mean, listen, I think
how did he take her away? Like what did he do? He just grabbed her and took away somewhere? Like, I don't understand.
No, two consenting adults. It takes two to tango. I understand
okay.
that.
That's
you know,
not really,
look,
that happens.
I think it's easy for people to say who've never been in a fucking locker room. You know what I'm saying? If you've been in a locker room, hazing, ball busting, all this shit it comes with the territory.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? I had a dude fart on my fucking sweater and throw it to me. Okay? Took my sweater, goes, "Oh, is this your sweater?" Yeah. He was a vet, farted on my sweater, threw it right back at me. What am I gonna do? That's part of the shit, bro. That's part of the shit, bro. I was a greenhorn. I was eating my shit, right? You know what I'm saying? That's what happens. That's what happens.
No,
you know?
I get it. And to Pat's point, listen, you're right. It just reopens a lot of wounds that the business has kept pretty much sutured for many, many years. I get all that. Again, as a history fan, as a history teacher, I love illustrative things like this. Not just about wrestling. I mean, you know, I watch World War II documentaries. I watch, you know, Korean War documentaries. I watch, you know, civil rights era stuff from the 1960s. I love that stuff. Again, it's not for everybody. But I think that what the Dark Side of the Ring series does is give fans, listen, it may not bring in new fans, but I think it gives a perspective and maybe a voice to people that, you know, maybe don't have a podcast or are not going to be able to have a sustaining podcast with a following, right? I mean, we saw that. To Mach's point, Mach, I'm with you. I actually one-up you on one of the worst people that came out of that series. I think Abdullah the Butcher looks awful for what he's being accused of, right? Like legitimate health violations and health concerns, right? Like he could literally sue people, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, props to you, Mach. Good one there in the sense of looking really bad because of this docuseries. It'll be interesting to see again, I think, who Dwayne Johnson's company is going to talk to, who's willing to talk on camera, because let's be fair, whether it's the rise and fall of WCW, great DVD, or it's also on the Peacock when you watch it, you know, with 27 ads.
If you're a fucking cheapskate.
You know, I swear to God. Mach, this is a guy who will offer me his NFL fucking ticket password, but won't give me his Peacock password. Go fucking figure that one out.
What do I need to? Bro, just spend the extra $5, bro. You bitch about it enough.
Just be generous and give me the password. You're willing to give me one password. How about all of them?
Nah, man. Just pay the $5, bro. Stop complaining. Stop. We're gonna get a GoFundMe going for you for the $5 a month, the extra $5, so you can pay for it.
But again, I think this docuseries will be interesting. It's been done to death, Mach, to be honest with you. You're the big WCW aficionado here. I think it's been so scrutinized between Bischoff, between Jarrett, between Conrad Thompson, Flair, Russo, Disco, and Conan.
I don't want to hear anything Vince Russo has to say. I can't take that guy fucking seriously.
I agree
Bro, he says bro like 100 fucking. He says bro more than I say yo.
Vince Russo was a part of the fall of WCW.
Oh, I think he was part of the demise outright. Yeah, absolutely. So again, you know, work in progress. We'll see. We know that Vice is going through some financial troubles. They might go under. So it'll be interesting to see who $7 Productions will actually work with, whether it's Vice or some other company. I'd be shocked if some other company would not be interested in picking this up. I know Pat doesn't like it, but there's an audience for it. There's an audience.
Okay, but I mean, is this going to be in the vein of like Dark Side of the Ring? Is it going to be like that, or is it just going to be like a fucking documentary talking about WCW interviewing old talent? Is that what it's going to be?
It just seems like the rise and fall. I mean, take that however you want. I don't know what.
So that's what they're going to call it. That's the working title, the rise and fall of WCW.
Let me see here. Why that's copyrighted per se.
Yeah.
I think either the demise of WCW or I mean, there's no Edge and Stone right now, but
it's not the same guys who did Dark Side, is it?
It's with Vice. It hasn't stated if it's the Dark Side guys directly, but it's they're working with Vice TV right now. That can mean anything, to be honest with you.
Those guys have a lot of heat, though, man. They have a lot of heat. JR doesn't want anything to do with it anymore. A lot of guys don't want anything to do with it, you know? And that's a big part of the reason, that and the fucking ratings. You know, they're getting fucking collision ratings, you know?
Yeah.
They're getting rampage ratings, you know?
Yeah, the first couple of years, let's be honest, I mean, there were a lot of interesting episodes, whether it was the Macho Screwjob, whether it was, I mean, the Eddie Guerrero one, which I'll be honest with you, I don't care. Judge me all you want, folks, but it's hard to watch that one and not get misty. It's really hard to watch that episode and not get emotional about it.
Which one again? What?
The Eddie Guerrero one. I mean, that's
Owen.
It's hard. Oh, the same thing with Owen. I think there's an element, again, not trying to glorify the person, but you know, looking at Chris Benoit and obviously the events afterwards, you know, talking to Chris Nowinski, the CTE, potential CTE brain damage that was discovered. That's a sad story too, on a lot of different levels. So I think the first couple of years were interesting, between, you know, the Dynamite Kid, between Bruiser Brody's untimely death in Puerto Rico, and other stars that, I mean, it was just tragic. But
Why'd you have to say in Puerto Rico? Why couldn't you just say Bruiser Brody's untimely death?
Well, that's where he died, right? I mean, unless I'm
but you didn't say where everybody else died, did you?
Well, okay.
You didn't say, you know, Owen Hart and his untimely death in fucking Kansas City, did you?
No, that was caused by Vince. Yes, no, I didn't say it.
That was what? Vince cut the wire? I don't understand.
Well, Vince shouldn't have had him doing that stupid shit to begin with, bro.
Dude, it's what he wanted him to do on the show.
Okay.
That's what he wanted him to do on the show. But why'd you have to mention in Puerto Rico with two Puerto Ricans on, huh?
I'm simply illustrating when he passed. That's it.
I'm watching you.
Okay. I know you're watching
you. I'm watching you.
You watch every day. But that was Vince's fault with Owen. There's no need to do that stupid shit. It just wasn't.
Bro, it's what he wanted him to do. It's an unfortunate accident that happened. That's it.
And it cost him millions of dollars in a lawsuit because Martha Hart sued him, right?
Okay, so would you have said the same thing if it happened to Sting?
I think that would listen. I think that was an outright.
Why would you even need to say that?
Would you say the same thing if it happened to Sting?
I think it was a dumb move by Bischoff.
Again, why would you need to say that?
Because the fact of the matter is, it's what he's asked to do.
But
you're
not a Sting fan. Give him
it doesn't. No. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You don't even have to mention anybody he likes. I'm just pointing out the fact that Sting was asked to come down from the rafters. So was Owen Hart. They were doing their job, right? That's what was being asked of them.
Both were unnecessary, and we're fortunate that Steve Borden didn't suffer a catastrophic.
How are they unnecessary? It's a part of the fucking show.
I think if you did it once with Sting, I think it served its purpose. When the amount listen, they were flirting with disaster, dude. Let's at least be honest about it.
So Pyro's not necessary because the Undertaker, you know, he got burned one time, you know. Let's just be careful with that, you know, and maybe no more chair spots, and maybe no more shows, you know, because somebody jumped over the barricade. So let's not have any more shows, and let's not have any fans in the audience. Let's go back to the Thunderdome. Is that what we're gonna do?
Mach, your thoughts, because I'm sure I know you want to weigh in on this.
I'm just going to segue back to what we were talking about. You know, it's funny you talk about the WCW stuff because there's actually that book that came out a while back called The Incredible Rise and Inevitable Collapse of Ted Turner's WCW. So as Pat says to read a book, that's actually a really great book. And, you know, if you really want to know about the fall of the company, you should go back and read that. And then obviously there's the rise and fall of WCW on the Peacock. So I kind of side with Pat on this. As much as I want to see these old wrestlers talk about this and stuff, I also feel like there's so much information about this. Like, give us something new. Like, let's be honest. I would be more interested in Vice doing a series like this on ECW. I feel like we don't have a lot of information on the fall of ECW. Like, why did they go under when they did? You know what I mean? Because it was clear through WWE that there was still a massive fan base for that brand. They even rehashed it, put it under the WWE umbrella. So I don't know. I honestly don't know what the purpose of it is, but I'm a big fan of The Rock. I've been a big fan of The Rock since that dude had a Jerry curl. So anything he does, I'm gonna watch. And you know, to point out what you said that you think his movies are shitty, bro. If you liked Commando, if you liked Cobra, if you liked Nighthawk, if you liked First Blood,
Mach, I just said he had a couple recent flops. That's all I'm saying. Some recent stuff that has.
Yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying. I just kind of feel like when people go in to see movies with The Rock, like you need to like go back and brush up on your Arnold Schwarzenegger movies and your old Sly Stallone, like Stop or My Mom Will Shoot. Like go into these movies expecting it to be like Leonardo DiCaprio and Gangs of New York. That's stupid.
Yeah.
You know
No,
what I
no,
mean?
no,
So
that's fair. I mean, I think it's going to be well done. $7 Productions already has a precedent of being very professional, thorough. We'll see. I mean, we'll see how long it takes to produce this. Obviously, since we've gone back to, since many in Hollywood have gone back to work since the writer's strike, and obviously productions are picking up once again. In other news, guys, this past weekend, obviously, and we'll get to like the best and worst of Full Gear by AEW this weekend in Inglewood, California. But on Friday night, shortly after Collision during the Ring of Honor tapings, Ronda Rousey made her surprise appearance. I did not expect that. I know that she showed up there. A lot of, it was interesting. Obviously, the reaction was kind of mixed online. I saw some stuff on Twitter and Instagram. People with some mixed reactions, but certainly a lot of people surprised her in that building on Friday night. We'll see what her role is going to be. I know we've talked about it off air in our chat, but listen, amazing name is going to bring in viewers. So she's a global superstar without question. I was never a fan of her in WWE. I think that they made the most of her time there. I think that she worked within the system and she had a great support system, right? I remember being there at the Rumble in Philadelphia in that shithole at the Wells Fargo Center when she appeared right after Asuka winning the first ever Women's Royal Rumble. And there was a lot of buzz and sizzle online about Ronda Rousey signing with WWE. We'd see her debut at WrestleMania in that very iconic, by the way, very underrated mixed tag match. I know WrestleMania's had some dud mixed tag matches, but this is one of the better ones. If you go back and watch it, folks, with her and Kurt Angle against Triple H and Stephanie, I think it was a pretty good match. With everything, the storyline, the character work, and everything. I just never got on board with her, man. I just, what it was, whether it's how they presented her or what they did. I mean, again, it's not her fault. I mean, if you're booked to squash people and you're booked to be dominant, that's how you're booked. I mean, it's not on the talent per se. I don't get on Ronda Rousey, but she was never a compelling promo. I know Macho looks at me like I'm engaging in blasphemy here. That somehow I should be struck down from the heavens with thunder.
you're just saying a lot of stuff that isn't true.
I
You're
understand.
just like lying to our
As a
audience.
mark, I'm just saying, as a fan and as a mark, I was never, I'll be honest with you, I was never a fan of it. I get it that they did a lot with her character. I remember being at MetLife here for WrestleMania 35. And yes, she walked in, she had just turned heelish, not completely, but she was somewhat heelish. Obviously, we all knew the pop was for Becky. The win was going to go to Becky that night, come hook or crook, sink or swim. When she left for a time after that, she went to spend time with her husband. She had a baby. Congrats to her. Came back. I remember at the Rumble in 2022, I think. Won it.
And won.
Yeah, and surprise entrant and won. Subsequently, I'll be very honest with you. I remember being in the city. I think Pat remembers night one of WrestleMania in Dallas. I was so rooting for Charlotte, and that was one of those surprise booking swerves where everyone thought that, Ronda's going to beat Charlotte, and somehow Charlotte won. I know it was chicanery, but I was actually ecstatic that Charlotte won at Mania. I know she lost the next month at Backlash, but never the biggest fan of her. Not very compelling on the microphone. I don't know. A global name brings in money, views, and metrics much, but I just wasn't like, oh my God, Ronda Rousey's on TV. It never, I don't know. It just never was the most appealing thing for me as a mark, but I could be wrong.
I mean, honestly, I disagree with everything you said and strongly.
Okay.
First of all, that mixed tag match that stole that WrestleMania. That was the match of the night.
Yeah, I'm saying it's very underrated.
I don't think people think is that as underrated. I think people look at that match as like the peak of her career. It was like, wow, this is like the best version of Ronda we're ever gonna get. I still feel like it was the Survivor Series match with Charlotte. That match was fucking amazing. I feel like Ronda's the only person that's ever got a great match out of Nia Jax. Their match at Money in the Bank I thought was awesome too.
Yeah, sure.
But when I look at Ronda Rousey, I feel like she gets unnecessary hate. I feel like people just hate her because she comes into the business and she was really good right off the bat. And she gets full credit for getting those women into the main event at WrestleMania. and people don't want to talk about the things she did behind the scenes. As Pat pointed out in our chat a week ago, she chose to get out of the main event scene. She wanted, because women have main eventers too. They have mid-carders and main eventers and, enhancement talent. She was definitely a main eventer. And she wanted to help the rest of the girls. She's been very vocal that she didn't want to be a world champion because she felt like the only storylines women got on television was the world title. She wanted to work like other people, like Billie Kay, So I feel like Ronda Rousey, I talked about this a couple of weeks ago on the other podcast. I felt like this is exactly what she needed. When Cody Rhodes left WWE the first time, when he left and he went to the Indies and he wrote that list and he shared it on Instagram about all the wrestlers he wanted to wrestle, that really helped him. He got crisper in the ring. He got better just from working those talents from all over the world. Ronda's doing the same thing. And whether people want to admit this or not, I don't care. Argue with your abuela. Athena's one of the top 2 or 3 female wrestlers in the world.
She is, yeah.
And
I love Athena. I love the
feud. Top 5. Not top 3, bro. She ain't better than Kana. She ain't better than Charlotte. She ain't better than Becky. She ain't better than Bailey. She ain't better than Io. You know what? Top 10. I say top 10 for Athena. She's good,
I don't know, man.
She's good.
She's definitely better. I don't know. In ring, she's better than Becky. If you're saying all around professional wrestler,
bro,
I
love
Becky Lynch, but no, I think Athena's just amazing.
Nah,
well, I love her since NXT. Yeah,
but like getting back to the whole Ronda thing, dude, she's working with all of these women now. She's going to be working with like Mickie James and Gail Kim. She's not going to be necessarily working with them on screen, but she's going to be working with these people that are going to help her refine her in-ring performance. Right now, she's working places like she's working in with Ring of Honor. She'll be working NWA. She'll probably do House of Glory. She's going to be doing all of these different shows because she wants to get better in the ring because she knows that's the biggest knock on her. She can go back to WWE and she doesn't need to talk. She could come back as a Paul Heyman girl and Paul could do all the talking for her. And I find it very odd that you say that they showed her as dominant. That was not true. The only match that she ever went in there as dominant, it was 2 matches, was the Bellas match. And who the fuck wouldn't be dominant over those 2 idiots? And then you have and then obviously, the Alexa Bliss match, but that was specifically designed that way. It was produced that way. And obviously Alexa Bliss sold that because that's what she does. She's a phenomenal talent and she knows how to sell that. I feel like Ronda's just caught this hate from the fan bases because they just don't want to accept somebody like her to come in. It's weird. I say this all the time and I'm going to argue it forever.
Much I think that comes from, and Marks are very fickle. As Pat as illustrated.
Yeah, they're fickle. They accepted Logan Paul and they won't accept Ronda Rousey. It makes zero fucking sense.
Well, let me say this. I think if we all remember back in the spring of 2019, that famous it became it exploded into memes, basically, when she was on a couch getting her hair done, if I remember. I mean, I think I understand.
Those were great though. Those memes, all this stuff. Yeah. But to your point, Fern. Yeah, fans got work done.
You're right. It's a work, but the problem is that for a lot of marks, and we're not talking about the highest. Okay, the intelligence quotient here is not the highest with a lot of marks. So when you saw that, and it was by design, right? It was a work to maybe get people riled up. The problem was that I think that, to some extent, people took it like, yo, this is how she really is deep down. She's just, an athlete that came in and listen, you're right. The optic looked like she was not embracing of the industry like others are. Again, you're right. It's a work. I understand that. And you're absolutely correct. And I think Mark's got it wrong. But all it takes is a little optic and people can run with it. And that's what happened. And to your point about a Heyman, listen, you're right. If she does come back, she needs to be a Heyman girl. Bro, get the microphone away from her. Name me one Ronda Rousey promo that you would say, wow, I mean, that was stellar or compelling. There isn't.
Every single time she touched the microphone in the Shayna Baszler feud was awesome.
But Pat,
she didn't say it. Go back and watch all of those Shayna.
That was 4 years later already being in the company. Really? Towards the tail end with Shayna Baszler?
You told me to name you a time.
Okay, well, Fine. That's one time towards the end of her run. But the entire 4-year duration, there was nothing compelling about her.
Because they gave her
cringeworthy.
something to sink her teeth into. She was trying to get her friend over. The problem is that Shayna's never going to get over. She didn't, that's just the way it is. Like, she's just not, she might be that talented in the ring, but like, look at right now. Zoe Stark's better than Shayna ever was. So we're in that spot. I don't know. When I look at it, I feel like fans, you're right. They got it wrong. They should have just let the work happen. Becky was selling it on the internet. She was doing her best to sell that feud. And for some reason, people they read her or they listened to her quotes and they were like, she doesn't respect the business we're in. And that should have worked for her on screen. It should have got her booed. It should have given her massive.
Macho, it doesn't take much. I think the little window that you gave Marks, not you, I mean, this generically, of course. I mean, that Marks would run with this. And I think that, listen, we'll agree to disagree. Obviously, I think she was very cringeworthy on the mic going into WrestleMania here in 2019. I mean, I get it. It was all about Becky. Becky was the hot star. I mean, she was super nuclear over. That's how hot she was. And Charlotte obviously being inserted into the match. But let's be honest, going into that Mania, I mean, Ronda, it was cringeworthy at times on the microphone. It wasn't compelling. And I get it that towards the tail end with her friend Sheena Baszler, no question. I think that leads to your point about how generous and how selfless she was becoming or had become for some time, that she wanted to put people over, that she didn't want to be in the main event scene. But again, if she comes back, she needs a mouthpiece. She's not a girl that, other than Becky, Charlotte, to some extent, Bayley too, very well, good on the mic, great heel. Mercedes to some extent too.
No,
I'm not saying that she's in the level of the other aforementioned. I'm just naming women that on the mic that okay, that they've done well with it. I just think that, to your point, yes, working with all these other promotions is going to be great. I love Athena, loved her since. I mean, one of the best theme songs she ever had as Ember Moon. She's a great worker. But Mach, this is also this Ring of Honor, and I get it that Prince Nana. And I believe Brandon Stokely. I'm sorry, is that a fucking NFL receiver? Stokely Hathaway, sorry. Yeah, Stokely, the guy with the Ring of Honor.
Stokely Hathaway, yeah.
Yeah, Brandon Stokely. What the fuck? He would play for the Broncos. Sorry. It's those. I think that's the brain trust of the current Ring of Honor. They're great wrestling minds, along with the other people. I just don't know what the presentation is going to be. Again, it's under the umbrella of Tony Khan, and let's be honest, Tony Khan can fuck up a wet dream. Sorry, guys. Everybody.
He hasn't screwed up Ring of Honor's women's division, though. I don't think he's in charge. He might be the figurehead of it, but like it's.
I wouldn't know. Nobody fucking watches it. How the fuck's anybody gonna know whether it's good or not? If
whenever they have a
watches
pay per view, you can tell based on like how Athena works and stuff like that. You could tell who she's.
I think also too the disservice that's being in the Ring of Honor, and I get it. We don't know behind the scenes. It's the fact that Ring of Honor isn't on a television or some streaming service other than YouTube or paying for a pay-per-view. I mean, Ring of Honor, again, unless you're going to Collision and sitting there for 2 to 3 hours after Collision is live on Saturday nights and you're there for the tapings, which is a pretty long evening. I mean, think about it. You're getting at 6 o'clock in the evening and you're leaving about midnight or so. That's a really, really tough task. And again, for a lot of the virgins in the building, that's not a big deal. They're used to being 6 hours without entertainment anyway. But I think that since Ring of Honor doesn't have a streaming home, I think that does them a disservice. I think getting Ronda would be amazing if they were on some streaming platform and Ronda Rousey's headlining and she's the huge name that she is. I think it would blow metrics. But unfortunately, again, Ring of Honor it's just not featured. I think the way us hardcores would like it to be.
Mm-hmm. I think this Ring of Honor to me reminds me of like when WWE was doing ECW. It's kind of like that. It's like it's ECW in theory, but it's not. You know what I mean? It's kind of similar to that. Getting back to Ronda, I agree with what Mach said. I feel like the marks turned on her because she was so good at what she was doing. You know what I'm saying? And you say that she's not a good talker, Fernando, but if she wasn't a good talker, she wouldn't have worked up people to this point that they didn't like her. You know what I'm saying? She worked everybody. She did everything that she needed to do and did it well. Not only that, she was incredibly selfless, man. And for a name, a big name, a globally recognized name, I mean, she's probably the biggest name in AEW right now. Let's be honest. Let's be fucking honest. Other than Ric Flair and Danielson and Sting, she is the biggest name that has wrestled on an AEW owned show. Let's be honest. Globally. Okay. I think she's, to what Macho's point there is, I think she's doing her Cody Rhodes thing. I think she's going to work Impact. She's going to work NWA. Maybe that's why she hasn't signed with AEW. Maybe that's why there's not anything exclusive there. Maybe because Tony Khan wants to sign her and have her on board to do all that. I would not be surprised if she does something for New Japan. And I would not be surprised if it's her and Mercedes in New Japan at some point. I think that would be something big, maybe for Wrestle Kingdom, or just having her there in general, I think would be really, really huge. And I could really see that happening. But to me, when I think about Ronda Rousey, I think about somebody who really wasn't appreciated and who was hated for being good at what she did. And she's a star wherever she goes, and all the best to her.
No, absolutely. Yeah. Again, it's a shame that Ring of Honor isn't on a streaming platform where it's a lot more visible and accessible to watch Ring of Honor. Listen, I watch all kinds of wrestling. I watch Impact on Thursdays, the New Japan show that they have right afterwards. I try to watch NWA when I can on YouTube. Obviously, I watch WWE in all its forms. I watch AEW, come sink or swim, all the shows. I mean, it's hard. It's hard. It'd be great to have, again, and with the legacy and the name that is Ring of Honor, it's a shame that it's just not more accessible to watch, because I think people would, tune in to watch it if it was on something that was accessible. But we'll see. Again, I mean, it seems like we're galaxies away from Tony Khan reaching a deal to have both of his companies on any major streaming platform, because he needs that. He just had a pay-per-view this past weekend for $50. He has World's End coming up in Long Island at the Nassau Coliseum on December 30th for another $50. You would think that, hey, if there's ever a time to get on a streaming platform, it's right now, when you're subjecting your fan base and consumers to $50 a month. I mean, again, that's $50 less that a lot of these virgins will have to spend on OnlyFans. So we'll see what happens. But speaking of pay-per-views, this past weekend, guys, AEW produced Full Gear from the iconic Inglewood Forum in Inglewood, California, home of the Showtime Lakers, my Lakers back in the day. Ignore him.
Your Lakers now. Lakers now, you fucking basketball hoe. Stop
it, okay? I get around more with the NBA than the Kardashians or Taylor Swift. But guys, obviously I don't want to go through the obviously the card itself, but what was your best and worst of Full Gear this past weekend? We'll start with you, Pat.
The best, the fact that it ended. That was the best for me. I was not a fan of this show. Well, you're a mind reader, that's why. But I was not a fan of this show. The best for me, I guess I don't know. I'm gonna try and be nice about this.
We had a better time at the Ranger Devil game than we would have had watching Full Gear, I think.
Yeah. And that was pretty brutal too. But at least there was alcohol. So with this, I mean, and I don't know, man. I guess if I had to pick the best out of the show, right, I would probably say it's nice to see Sting getting his love now. And for me, the worst would probably be all of the unnecessary shit that fucking happened on this show, all the nonsensical, non-selling, all the 50 million fucking moves. Ric Flair, I love Ric Flair to death. Ric Flair is Mount Rushmore fucking anywhere, let's be honest. But fuck, man. I mean, seeing him out there, hitting Chris, I mean, like, I don't know. I don't think that's the way he should be using him. Just because he wants to do it or he could do it doesn't mean that he should be doing it. You know what I'm saying? But again, who the fuck am I to tell Ric Flair what the fuck to do? Who's anybody, really? But, as a promoter, you have certain control over what goes on the show and what doesn't. So, and awareness goes a long way. But, just whether it was the Swerve Strickland, Hangman Adam Page match, with the fucking staples and all that other stuff. And look, I don't have a problem with hardcore matches. I don't have a problem with death matches, gimmick matches. That's fine. If there's a fucking story there, which there was going into this, right? And you have this interesting payoff, or you have this interesting matchup. It seemed at one point like they were going to 50-50 book it, but then Swerve got the win, right? So now it's kind of pretty much over. I mean, it's never really over in AEW, right? As we've seen from many of their other rivalries. But just the blood spot, man, where Hangman drank fucking Swerve's blood. It's like, here's two guys that could go out there and that could fucking steal the show. Because they're talented. They are. And people can say whatever they want about Hangman Adam Page, but he can go. Swerve Strickland is a talented fucking dude. I mean, this is known,
And to Macho's point a few weeks ago, when you look at the metrics in AEW, Swerve gets really good metrics.
Yeah.
Like when you look at the quarter hours, and you look at not the demo, but you look at the ratings. I mean, they peak a lot when he's on TV. So he's a draw for that audience. I'm sorry, Paco.
No worries. He has no weaknesses. Okay, the dude could talk, the dude could work, and he's entertaining. He's entertaining. He could rap. He could do it all. He could dance. I mean, he's got Nana. The whole presentation is really fucking cool. You know what I'm saying? You look at this dude, you didn't know him, you'd be like, wow, this guy's fucking cool. But getting back to this match, I just feel like they had an opportunity to do something cool, and instead they chose to do something stupid. And I think they went overboard again. They had a fucking video game match with this. And I just wasn't happy with it. And then the fucking main event, this convoluted booking, where fucking Adam Cole comes out all fucking 2'7" of him, and he comes down the ramp with the fucking crutch like fucking Tiny Tim, and fucking, MJF, the other half of fucking Tiny Tim and Son, fucking like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know. Won't he work? Will he work? His knee's fucked up. His knee's not fucked up. And then you got Jay White there, who they've been doing good stuff with lately. Like they've finally been using him in a way that's kind of like making him appealing or interesting in America, right? And then you have this fucking match that's kind of like just there. It's a match for the sake of having a fucking match. And for me, like, I just feel like Jay White's kind of dead now. Like that's it. Like it's for me, like you had this opportunity to do something and you fucking killed it. You fucking killed it. You killed it. And this is a textbook example of AEW just doing everything that they fucking can just because they can. And for no other reason but that. And just having video game match after video game match after video game match. Even the shit with Toni Storm. Toni Storm never should have lost that fucking title. She never should have lost that title. You did that to give Saraya a moment. Okay, great. You could have given Saraya a moment a different way. You could have done something else. You know what I'm saying? There's a million other things you could have done, but you disrupted something to kind of do something good, to be nice, and then you gave it to somebody else to be nice again, and then you have her to drop it to the same person, and then they go back and forth, and then it's like all that just to get back to Toni Storm? Like, I don't know, man. The booking is frustrating. The presentation of the show is frustrating. They do way too fucking much. And if I want to watch AEW, I'll just turn on the Nintendo 64 and play fucking No Mercy. That's basically how I fucking feel when I'm watching it.
Mach.
Well, I agree with a lot of that. I will say that the best of the show for me was, who would have thought? Let's be honest with ourselves. When we look at Jon Moxley and Orange Cassidy, it doesn't make sense on paper. But in the ring, they're fucking perfect for each other. I don't understand. They stole the show for me. That was the match of the night. For the second time that these guys have worked a show together, they've completely stolen a show. It's insane to me how they work so well. I love how generous Moxley is. He makes Orange Cassidy look like $1 million. And every time Orange Cassidy comes out of a match with Mox, I'm thinking, which I don't know, I guess it's just a dumbass in me. Maybe it's the Pennsylvanian in me, is that he should be moving over to the main event scene. But Tony Khan won't do that. I don't understand why he won't do it. Makes no fucking sense to me. But
I mean, Moxley or Pockets?
I'm talking about Orange Cassidy.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like he's just like ripe. He's ready to go. I don't know why they're not doing it, but it's whatever. Worst of the show for me, I said this to Pat, was the main event. That main event was this is the second pay-per-view where I come out thinking that I just don't think MJF is very good. I don't agree. Like Pat said on the show last week, where he was talking about or it was actually on Must Love Wrestling, where you were talking about how like you thought he was good and he used to do acai moonsaults, and the whole time I'm thinking in the back of my head like, I disagree, man. I just don't think he's very good.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's that guy who goes to wrestling school and who could do a backflip, and he's like, oh, I'm good. And he's like, I'm just going to just like start copying The Miz, and I'm going to take his whole character. Like when The Miz first started doing this character, he stole everything off of what Jericho had just done. You know what I mean? And then he made it his own. The Miz, within time, he made it his own. But like when I look at MJF, I don't see all of even his like fucking bullshit crying at the end of the show, eating a pickle and all that. I was just like, I don't understand. Like I don't get, what am I supposed to be getting? I'm just watching it like this. Like what purpose does this serve? Honestly.
Well, I think it's fair to say that now that he's well over a calendar year as AEW World Heavyweight Champion, I mean, it's been very underwhelming. And for a guy like me, who's a big fan of his, the gimmick, the shtick, and all that, it's been very underwhelming. And I think this is
because you're the same height.
What's that?
What is it? Because you guys are the same height.
I'm 5'9". I mean, I think he's a little taller than I am, but I could be wrong. Maybe.
You look like Kevin Nash next to him.
Oh,
That's
Jesus!
But
it's been very underwhelming. And like, who would think that the second, I guess, not leading, but the second most visible company in North America for professional wrestling would have a world champion that is as underwhelming as we've ever seen. I don't remember in any wrestling promotion in quite some time, from NWA to TNA / Impact to MLW to Jesus. I mean, I have not seen a very as underwhelming a champion as MJF. I know Pat and I, we talked about this off the air, but other than the build up to Danielson earlier this year at Revolution into the Iron Man match, I mean, let's be fair. He won it a year ago, and it's just been, again, it's been very, very underwhelming. And I don't know. I don't think this is fixable at this point. And to sort of go off what you guys are saying, the best and worst, I agree with Mach. I think the best part of the night for me was the Moxley Orange Cassidy match. I think all in all, the best match of the night by far. I think a close second was the Tony Storm match against Akira Shida. Nice to see. What's that?
Shida's actually my next failure of the night. I talked to Pat about this earlier today. Dude, we can tell as wrestling fans now. We can you can hear when they call out spots now. Like AEW's, they are notorious for calling out spots and for us being able to hear it on fucking television.
Yeah, that's very alarming. And for you guys as workers,
yeah, especially when you watch a Britt Baker match and she says headlock takeover, or anything, you a reversal, drop kick, anything. You could fucking hear her call it out, and it's like, Jesus, Britt, unbelievable. You whisper in someone's ear as you're fixing their teeth. You can't fucking whisper in their ear right now. It just doesn't make any sense to me. When
that's
I was
really
watching
good.
Cheetah,
that's really good. I like that match. That quarter of the night right now.
Nice. When I was watching Shida, I'm just I pointed this out to Pat. Dude, go back and watch even just YouTube, the 30-second bit of her doing the 10 count on the turnbuckle, the classic babyface 10 count with the crowd. She's barely touching Tony. Tony Storm is a wrestler who learned how to wrestle in Europe. She knows she's gonna get she's gonna be stiff sometimes. You don't really need to hit her. Go back and watch some Bret Hart film and learn how to fucking throw a punch. They look so bad every time she went for a kick or a drop kick. Yeah. She barely connected. It just looked so fake to me. And I hate to use the word fake talking about wrestling because I know it's going to piss people off. But when I watched Shida wrestle, it was just if I'm just messing with my son, where I love to throw the quick like Chris Benoit kicks to him. You know, like that's what it felt like watching her. I was just like, oh my God, like I can't take this. Like, she cannot be that green. She was supposed to be their star. They put the title on her 3 times because she was supposed to be like the top star. Man, did they make a mistake putting her out there.
Yeah.
I feel like even though Toni Storm won the match, I feel like it ruined her momentum. That match alone was so fucking bad. I want to be that little pan though in Toni Storm's, like, you know, the one that she put in her pants. You know what I mean? Like,
by the way, Mach, thankfully the only thing you do with your son, like Chris Benoit, is kick him. Because it would be a lot worse if you did other stuff. You know what I'm saying? Just saying. That's all.
I would say the worst of the night. I'm with you guys. The main event was convoluted.
Oh, just awful.
I mean, again, Adam Cole is injured, right? To the extent that he cannot defend the tag titles with MJF, but somehow he can walk into the ring and be the substitute for the world title match on one leg, like that. Just imagine, guys, for a
fucking pop. Yeah, that's what you bought him out for.
Imagine if Paul Levesque did this sort of convoluted booking.
Absolutely.
Dave Meltzer, Alvarez, Vinny, Vicky, Johnny, Jimmy, and Joe at the Wrestling Observer Radio.
SRS.
They would, JD from New York on Twitter, they would
that guy's a moron.
They have an aneurysm. And I just think that why there isn't any backlash against, because there's no way to defend. Like, this was completely convoluted. This made no sense. This had no fluidity. And now again, it adds, and I get it that, listen, I don't know if the reports are true, when his contract is up, if he's re-signed already, how many days are left. I don't know. But if this is a way to present Maxwell Jacob Friedman as the ambassador of this company, as the head of, again, as the symbol of this company, I get it. You're trying to make him a sympathetic babyface, driving the ambulance back. As you know, again, we've seen this in wrestling. That's great. That's a great spot. I get all that. But it was convoluted. And again, $50 to sit there and watch this abortion of a pay-per-view. I cringe at Winter is coming up in a couple of weeks now on Dynamite, and then at World's End in Long Island. Again, historic venue like Nassau Coliseum is probably going to be as empty as we'll ever see it and who would think in their right mind that you say, hey, pro wrestling's coming to Nassau Coliseum? That building will be packed. That's not going to be the case.
Bro, I don't understand, for a company that can't get people in the fucking stands, for a company who can't get people to watch on a Wednesday night when there's nothing else to fucking watch on a Wednesday night, yet they won't watch your product. Why would you have the title on someone that isn't like that over? He's over to the AEW fan base that's on the internet. They do not make up the money for the company. It doesn't matter.
They're not going to fill up. They're not going to fill up an historic venue.
No,
Veterans
I am
College.
not interested. They're coming to Pennsylvania. I am not going to fucking go watch this company to see MJF as their world champ. You want me to go watch this shit? Put that title on Kenny Omega. Put it on Hangman Page. Put it on Swerve. Put it on Cassidy. Put it on Adam Copeland. Put it on somebody that I give a fuck about.
Where in PA are they coming soon?
Philly.
Oh, they are? Oh, they were just in Philly. Okay, interesting. Okay. Okay.
That's what they do, man. They stick to their market. They do the same. They're in Chicago again this Wednesday. They're in Chicago a couple of days before Survivor Series.
I mean, that's smart. I mean, again, they know their markets, but they can't fill the buildings. And again, to a historic venue like Nassau Coliseum, and listen, I'll be very honest with you. I think having it on December 30th, New Year's Eve weekend, that's a bad move. People have plans, couples dinners. I know if a lot of these virgins, they don't have any plans per se. It's not a good weekend, dude. It's not a good travel weekend. It's not a good weekend to I don't know. I think having a pay-per-view on New Year's Eve weekend is one thing. Is New Year's Revolution on New Year's Day back in 2005, 2006, and then day one, that abortion of a pay-per-view. I remember a couple of years ago, a few years back. But for a company that's struggling like AEW to fill a building, that's not a smart move, guys, to put it in a venue that can seat around, I think, 17, 18 and change for wrestling. If they get 8,000, that's a blessing on New Year's Eve weekend.
Yeah.
But, what do I know?
I mean, I think to Macho's point, why not put the title? Why not put Cassidy in the title picture? At this point, why not? Why not? You got nothing fucking left to lose. And I understand that they want to put MJF as their guy. They want to make MJF their star. He does have potential for crossover appeal, about to be in the Von Erichs movie. I get all that. But I mean, it hasn't been exciting. It hasn't really been exciting. His best match was with Bryan Danielson. Let's be honest. Mm-hmm. Everything else has been okay, but not fucking great. You know what I'm saying? And for a guy that you're supposed to, be invested in as a world champion, it's just not clicking. So why not throw Cassidy in the mix? Why not do it? You know what I'm saying? What's the worst that could happen? You get a good wrestling match. You know what I mean?
And you know what? And he's over with that. I mean, listen, yeah. I don't like the Orange Cassidy gimmick for anything. I think it's just blah. But it's over with that audience by sink or swim. They like that nonsense with pockets. But I mean, okay, you're right.
But it's original. He's been working on this gimmick for 9+ years, and he got it over to the point that the people in the audience love it. When he does those little kicks, you can hear them chanting as he's doing it. Little kids are dressed up like him.
Yeah.
I mean, he's over. Yeah. He's worked his ass off.
It's not for me. It's not for me. I'm with you, Uribe, on it. It's not for me, but I get it, and I understand how that crowd likes it. And the guy's good. The guy's good. He can work. He's not bad. He's not fucking bad. You don't get the respect of a guy like Bryan Danielson, Shibata, or Jon Moxley lightly. That shit just doesn't get handed out. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that those three guys respect him says a lot about who he is and how he can work in the ring. You know?
Yeah.
A lot of people might not like to fucking hear that. You know what I'm saying? But that's a fact. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go back to the fact that, there's no money in MJF. You can
Swerve, baby. Swerve. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's put the strap on Swerve.
What I would do. And the thing is, the reason Swerve works is because he's bringing a different audience in. And no, I'm not talking about, the black audience, but he's bringing, fans of his rap music. They are coming to watch him wrestle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's a different market. There is no other market. There's no fans of the Rosie O'Donnell show that are coming over to watch MJF because they watched him cut a little promo as a child.
You know what I think they're going to do? I think they're going to have Lip, and I think they're going to have fucking what's-his-face from High School Musical. They're going to fucking have him over there in the front row when the Von Erichs movie comes out.
Yeah, because Triple H said that they couldn't make it work because they were in Saudi because they were actually approached to promote the movie. He said that today in an interview. He said they wanted to promote the movie, but they were in Saudi during the promotion and all the press for it.
Oh, okay.
So that's why the Iron Claw is not going to be promoted through WWE. But that doesn't matter.
Well, what about AEW though? Yeah, because MJF's in it, isn't he?
But his role, Chavo just said last week, his role is playing the Von Erich cousin. He's not even a real Von Erich.
Oh.
He's just a heel in the movie. He's just playing a heel. He's not one of the main guys. I mean, you have Lip playing Texas Tornado. So, I mean,
that shit's hilarious, bro.
Yeah. No,
bro,
it is.
He's awesome, bro.
Yeah. Pat, I know that you want to talk about Stardom and
they should get Pedro Pascal. That's what they should do.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Pedro Pascal is Kerry Von Erich. You know, that's
he could do anything. He could absolutely do anything.
I swear to God. Pat, I know you had some. I know you wanted to talk about the Stardom comments concerning WWE. What do you want to share with our audience today about it?
Oh man! Oh shit! You put me on the spot here. I didn't even get fucking ready.
Gotta be ready, man. Come on, just TV here, brother.
Just make sure if they make a Work in the Marks movie that you have Pedro Pascal play me. All right.
Okay, I like that.
Get Freddie Prinze Jr. for me. Just dye his hair.
Freddie Prinze
Jr.
That is amazing. This fucking guy, Macho.
Marco Rubio is a sitting United States Senator. I don't think he'll do a movie, but maybe
he might not have a job longer. Yeah,
I would probably go one or the other. Either I would like to go super comedy, so probably Jack Black.
Jack Black is you? Yeah, you totally look like him.
Yeah, or the guy or the dude who plays Jon Snow. One of those two, I'm happy with.
I just
It's
said
fine.
okay. Interesting.
For me, it's like Denzel Washington's son or Pedro Pascal. That's the only two people that could play
John
me.
David Washington could do anything, bro.
I want John David Washington as me. You know.
Let's go, man.
So recently there was a press conference over in Japan, and the president of Stardom spoke on WWE and things that that they can learn from them. And he said in a quote, WWE players travel around the world. They refer to them as players. They do not refer to them as wrestlers. WWE players travel around the world and compete in over 200 matches a year. There are times when people get injured, but it has never been the case that people get injured one after another. I think there's a problem with the game itself that there are so many injuries. Dangerous moves are discouraged in WWE and are often banned. I think there are many things we can learn from the world's best organization. So it's a very interesting quote coming from, the president of Stardom. And Stardom, as we know, has produced a lot of the great Joshis, the Japanese women's wrestlers that we're seeing in America now, as well as other talent that have gone over there, namely Toni Storm, Shayna Baszler, Natty Neidhart, and obviously, you have Asuka, Io Sky, and you have a lot of other Japanese women that have been there too, as well as what's her name, Hikaru Shida over in AEW. So, they're like a factory for women's wrestling. I mean, you learn everything. You learn how to run spots really, really good there. They teach them all the basics, all the fundamentals. It's not easy, and their training system is really, really good. But if you watch a lot of the Stardom now, it's good stuff, but there are a lot of unnecessarily risky moves. I think it really speaks to the Performance Center, really speaks to what they've done over there, Triple H and Shawn Michaels, and how this is now considered the standard in how you train and how you treat your talent and what you do in order to be able to maximize what you have with your talents there in WWE. So obviously, I think it's a really interesting quote. I'd like to get some of your guys' thoughts on it, namely the proud NAACP member over there, Professor Fernando Uribe.
Pat, it's interesting because the first thing as I'm hearing this somewhere, I'm like, that's a nice little jab at AEW, that's for sure. In the way that they produce television, and there's no oversight really. I mean, you're letting the inmates run the asylum, and it's clear to the point where whether it's Ric Flair going out there chopping Christian, where again, I'm not saying this to be hyperbolic, but anything like that could be catastrophic for someone like Ric Flair at his age. A sudden movement of that kind, you could pull something. I mean, again, I'm not thinking the worst here.
It just doesn't look good though, too, Fernando, on top of that.
No, you're right. And again, but a guy his age exerting himself like that could be catastrophic at any moment. And then, I remember watching a match. I'll never forget this. I think it was last month. I think it was a fatal 4-way. And I counted. There were literally like 10 Canadian destroyers. Everyone popped up from all of them. And it was just like, wait a minute. Like, forget about gratuitous violence. Like, this is not believable. Like, to the point, and again, I'm not trying to plug anybody else's show, but over the week, today, there was a review of the Hangman Page and Swerve Strickland match from Full Gear. I mean, the idea that you're getting tombstoned on a chair wrapped in barbed wire and you're having a cinder block broken on the back of your head and it just evaporates into dust like you just opened up a pound of flour baking a cake, and you're doing all of this sort of gratuitous cooperative violence, and like guys are still getting up at the count of 9 before they can,
6.
Again, 6 under Texas Deathmatch rules in AEW, where it's basically last man standing. That's what it is. Rules. Like, it's amazing to me where it's a testament to the PC, to your point, Pat, that they're getting people. It's not just wrestlers that they're signing from the indies, but like college athletes that they're trying to mold into their type of performer and superstar. And I think it's a testament to Sean and Paul Levesque, Wayne Bloom. I think that's his name, right? A-Train, I think. I could be mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. Sorry.
Matt Bloom. Sorry.
Wayne Bloom is is that Honky Tonk? No, never mind. Looking at William Regal returning to the organization, other talent, all the agents. Forget about like, the top of the food chain. Think about all the agents that they've hired in the last 5 years that are bringing their knowledge, that they're down there, that they're working in Orlando at the Performance Center. And I think we've said this on the show plenty of times. I think that someone like Tony Khan, I mean, it's hard to put the genie back in the bottle at this point because we're approaching 5 years. But, for a guy who's that wealthy, who's burning through money like a fucking meth head, it's crazy to me that you can't buy some real estate in Northeast Florida. There's plenty of good real estate. I mean, it's affordable to live down there. So create a structure, buy real estate, formulate a building, formulate a program where you can still get guys and girls in there to work and get better. Case in point, I just remember now about best and worst of from Full Gear of the Weekend. Like, I like Julia Hart. I mean, she's come a long way in the sense of, but she's still green as asparagus. Like, and you're still throwing her out there, and now you're putting a title on her, right? Over one of them. You want to talk about another underwhelming title run in Chris Stanlander. Not all her fault per se. But someone like Julia Hart could benefit from being in some sort of organized structure. She's 21, I think, maybe. She's still young. She feeds that fetish for that audience, whatever. And other workers that could really benefit from going to some sort of structure. But you can't put the genie back in the bottle at this point. You can't just create, a power plant 2.0 and say, all right, well, we're just going to have, we're going to take Trent Beretta, example, random name, or whoever off TV for a couple of months and make him go back to school. It's sort of like, I'll sort of use this analogy. It's like, I think if you've been doing something for a while or you've been out of school per se, it's like, I have a few friends that, have been out of academia for a while and now they're considering going back to get like a master's degree in something or another advanced degree. And they've been out of school literally for at least minimum 10 years or so. That's really hard to acclimate your brain into that routine and that structure of, hey, I got to go read X amount of articles every day. I got to take out books from the library. I got to type papers. I think that I'll make the correlation to pro wrestling. I think if you've been doing this for some time and you've been out there, now you're being featured on national television, to take you off TV and to put you in a structure where you need to sort of revamp and work on some fundamentals. I don't think that's possible right now with AEW. And I think that's what makes it dangerous, because Tony Khan is just enabling and letting people to their own devices. I'm sorry, rant over.
No, I think it is possible, because once upon a time, WWE did it. You know what I mean? They started the PC. They had talent go over there and fucking work on their shit. Once it was there, people took advantage of it. So, I mean, I think that AEW could do it. But, I mean, all these issues that we're still talking about now, all of these are structural issues that shouldn't have existed at the very beginning of AEW. And 100%. If they had a better foundation, they would not be in the problems that they're in now. You know what I'm saying? They would not. Tony Khan has enough money to sign every fucking Tom, Dick, and Jane out there. Okay? Literally, bro. Anybody. Okay? I wouldn't be surprised if Kevin Durant ends up in AEW. Okay? That's how much fucking money he has. All right? I think that if he was going to start up this company, he should have started up a performance center. He should have done this. He's a pretty powerful guy in fucking Jacksonville. Let's be honest. He could have done something down there, and he could have made it so that these green talents could go and they could fucking train. Problem was, he didn't think about that, because he didn't talk to anybody that he probably should have talked to, or he didn't surround himself with people that were like, nah, Tony, that's not the way it works. He didn't do any of that. So now, you're kind of seeing these issues come to light. And look, nothing against Julia Hart. I'm sure she's a good kid. She seems like, she gets along with the people that she's working with. She's still there. She's trying. But I mean, like, she shouldn't have that fucking title. Statlander wasn't thrilling as champion, but you know what, man? Like, fucking, she could work. And it's better keeping it on her, which, granted, they used her and they fucking botched that shit with fucking Jade Cargill, but like, it's better to keep it on her than to fucking put it on Julia Hart. I just think it's unnecessary to me, honestly. And it exposes her and it puts her at risk of injury.
Agreed. Well, the problem is that when you have the EVPs, right? In the Young Bucks that go out there in every single match, they give you all of their special moves, all their top off the top rope shit, all their planches to the outside. Every single match you watch the same exact Young Bucks match every single match. And then you watch guys like Sammy Guevara, who is a super talented kid, but yet he's doing 450s off ladders on a Wednesday night instead of saving that shit for like once every couple of months at a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
This is what they do. That speaks to this specifically. There's nobody reining these people in. Pat, we've talked about this so many times about Kenny Omega when he was so special in Japan because he had somebody holding him, like telling him, you don't need to do all this right now. You're already one of the top guys here. Just go out there, be this specific character, be this specific worker. And there's nobody doing that. There's nobody that's like structurally telling these guys, you don't need to do all that. I mean, look, you talk about Ric Flair doing chops and punches to right. Think about this. Like, how many matches has Jeff Jarrett worked this year? How many matches has Sting worked this year?
Yeah.
And now you have a 50-year-old superstar in Edge. Adam Copeland, whatever, I don't want to get sued. Adam Copeland, who just is out there still working. You got Jay Russo doing the same thing. Like, it's like there's nobody like listening to them. And I love that you brought up the Jacksonville thing because I feel like he's running AEW the way, the way his family ran the Jaguars. Like, let's just draft or get all these players from other organizations and try to build our expansion team up so that we could be super like good right away. And they were. But then what happened to the Jags after that? What happened after Brunel got hurt?
Yeah, there was a long downtime where the Jaguars were not relevant. I mean, they're relevant again to some extent, but yeah, they
weren't relevant until they got David Garrard and Fred Taylor. It took years for them to get those guys.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like
huge decline. Yeah, huge decline.
It was just really, really bad, and that's what I'm seeing here. We got the Mark Brunel years out of AEW, and now what's happening? Like,
that's fucking great.
Yeah,
that is fucking great.
Mach is
damn, you're on fire, bro. It must be them fucking cakes you're eating. That's what it is.
I'm telling you, but but definitely,
Little Debbie, I love your cakes, by the way.
But definitely good words by Stardom for sure. Guys, main event time here on the show this Saturday night from the United Center in Chicago. I think it's United Center or maybe the Allstate Arena. I'm not sure.
Allstate Arena.
Allstate Arena. Thank you, Pat. Will be the 36th annual Survivor Series and one of the original 4 PLEs, right, in the history of WWF/WWE will emanate from the Allstate Arena. Obviously, I mean, it seems like yesterday in suburban Cleveland at the Richfield Coliseum when Hulk Hogan's team and Andre the Giant's team headlined the main event. Amazing for its time. A very innovative, concept for Vince. And by the way, obviously all the podcasts will tell you one of the things that Vince did early to piss off the Crockett family was it was the same night as Starrcade in 1987. So when Starrcade was in Chicago for Chi-Town Heat, another very good pay-per-view, but very underrated pay-per-view, by the way, in 1987 for NWA. Vince premiered the Survivor Series on Thanksgiving night, and talk about creating a bidding war at the time with cable companies. You had to order pay-per-views, right? With the Survivor Series now 36 years later, we get to Chicago, and good card here. Thus far, only 5 announced matches thus far. That could change, maybe. We do have Rhea Ripley defending the coveted Women's World Championship against the twice divorced Toms River, New Jersey former housewife, Zoe Stark, this Saturday night. Zoe Stark winning a obviously number 1 contenders match against all the other women on the Monday Night Raw roster. Listen, Rhea Ripley, there's a jetpack on her spinal cord, and she's just getting higher and higher. I think this is a good match for Zoe Stark to kind of put her out there. I think it's one of Paul Levesque's girls that he loves from NXT, putting her out there, giving her TV time. And again, I think this match will serve its purpose and just continue to elevate Rhea Ripley, guys. in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a great way to get Zoe over too. So I think that's what this is designed to do. I think they trust Rhea Ripley to the point now where they know we're gonna throw this girl out there with you. It's your job to get her over so we can continue to push her. And Rhea's gonna be able to do that because she did it for Zelina at Backlash. She's done it for Raquel. So we know she's gonna do an exceptional job at that.
It's crazy to think that Rhea hasn't been pinned since May of 2022. It's crazy to think that, right? But yeah, I think this is Triple H hooking his girl up. This is Triple H saying, "Hey, we're gonna go with the younger talent. We're gonna try something new. We're gonna try something different." Zoe can work. Zoe can work. I expect a good match out of them. Hopefully this leads to more, maybe for Zoe. Hopefully something happens with her because I do think that she has good abilities. But yeah, Rhea's gonna go over here, and this is kind of just, another match for Rhea until we get to potentially her and Becky at WrestleMania.
Sure. In another match, obviously with the recent heel turn of Santos Escobar, he'll be taking on Carlito as Carlito's looking to avenge the injury, right? I guess kayfabe injury or legit injury, because I know that Rey Mysterio did have knee surgery.
Rey's injury is legit.
Sort of write him off television presently. I think obviously we've seen this before. Carlito versus Santos Escobar. I know me and Pat talked about this off the air. I mean, there's some heat in here. Certainly.
Cuidado,
coño. No, cuidado nada. I'll tell you right now. I'll tell you the same thing I told Pat. I'll say it on the air. It's a bathroom break for me. There's heat in this match, sure. There's been a building, tension there for certain. Again, two good workers. Santos Escobar with the Tony Montana suit and shirt last week, I thought was brilliant. Great way to sort of get that heel heat. This match is what it is for me. I'm not really, yo voy al baño, voy a la cocina, y me tomo un jugo, una cerveza, pero
that's what the commercial breaks are for.
Clearly, yeah.
That's what the commercial breaks are for in the advertising. You know what? He's just mad because LA Knight ain't got a match. That's the problem. He's just salty because this guy LA Knight.
Maybe he fights Solo Sikoa. Maybe that's added. Who knows?
Listen, I'm calling my shot right now. First of all, this is going to be a banger of a match. Santos and Carlito are going to fucking kill it.
Yep.
But this match is designed to have LWO versus LWO. I expect by the end of this match, Humberto and Angel Garza to be up with Santos against Carlito and the LWO.
Yeah.
That's what I'm expecting. I think that's going to be a great way for them to progress this feud. And I'm a massive Carlito fan. I love Santos. I think the two of them are just gonna they're gonna kill it. So you're gonna go to the bathroom. You're gonna take whatever it is old people take, when there's tummy hurts and shit like that. I don't know, but you're gonna miss a hell of a match because these guys are gonna fucking kill it. They might even steal the whole show. You don't even understand. So I mean, I understand that there's no Cuban wrestlers that are that popular and shit like that. I mean, you would think I know there's Cody Rhodes and stuff.
I find this is bad. This is amusing to me. This has nothing to do with ethnicity or because it's just blah to me. It's not because there's no Cuban wrestlers or the Cuban
but what's so blah about it? Did you see Santos's promo? Bro, that's a great promo.
This motherfucker said he wants Rey Mysterio's leg to be amputated.
Bro, he said Dom was right. I mean, certain megastars in the company should take note of that's that way to talk, bro. That's professionalism right there, bro. That was a great promo.
Vicious.
And he mastered English. He sounds great.
How can you not be sold on this match after that promo? How could are you not the type of wrestling fan that can be drawn in from one promo and just be like, I gotta see what happens?
It depends on the star.
Yeah,
it depends.
Yeah,
but again, listen, I long for the days of the Cuban assassin. I think Macho will appreciate that reference there. Former WCW contender.
Lola Vice. They got Lola Vice on the way.
Well, listen. Yeah, listen. I don't know. He could be on the card last minute. Again, they're building towards him and Solo Sikoa.
Who
knows?
Who are you talking about?
LA Knight. We'll see.
Nah.
Maybe we'll see.
That's not gonna work for me, brother.
All right.
That's,
There you go. Well, okay.
there's no room at the end for him.
There you go.
The show has real star power.
Speaking of star power, in another compelling match, The Miz will challenge Gunther for the coveted Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship. Kind of interesting here. Sort of a contrast of maybe two generations of Intercontinental champions.
Love it.
Here with Gunther being the longest reigning Intercontinental champion. The Miz has had numerous title reigns as the Intercontinental champion. I think he's always done great work. 9. Wow, that's amazing. Very different. I think a contrast in styles, that's for sure. I've never been a big fan of The Miz as a babyface. Whenever they've tried it, it's not always been convincing.
One time.
Yeah, it's maybe I'm sorry, I'll correct myself. I think going into WrestleMania 35 here at MetLife in 2019, that feud against Shane, because Shane was just kind of like unlikable. I think it was easy to root for The Miz, but he's never been a very compelling babyface, and I think he's a better heel. That's just my opinion. But I think a stark contrast in styles in this match for sure, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great. I love the way Gunther's been selling it by like poking fun at all the old showmen in professional wrestling, like the Ultimate Warrior, and talking about
Bret Hart. That was blasphemy.
He's not a showman.
It's
about
work.
What did he say?
He didn't say anything negative about Bret. He just said he didn't want to talk about him because the last time Bret talked about him in the Cardiff pay-per-view, he didn't have nice words to say. So you could tell that his character was supposed to say something, he just didn't want to. And he's probably a big Bret Hart mark, so he probably didn't want to do that. But anyway, getting back to it, Gunther's been tearing apart all the showmen in professional wrestling. The Miz is a showman. Yeah. He is a ring general, so he's supposed to be that guy who cares more about, his in-ring presence and things like that. So I'm very much looking forward to this match. Don't see Gunther losing this match at all. So we'll see. I'm just looking forward to the match itself.
I kind of hope that this is like a really stiff, strong style match. Yeah. I hope that we finally get that out of the Miz, because that I think would make this match really interesting. Yeah. If they do a very safe WWE style match, it'll be good. You know what I'm saying? Because the Miz knows what he's doing. Gunther knows what he's doing. But I want to see something different from the Miz here. And I really hope that I see the Miz in the chop exchanges and the stiff forearms and the boots and all that, but lay it in. I want to see something out of the Miz that we've never seen here. This is an opportunity for him to do it. I wasn't a fan of how they got to this match. I think they kind of hot-shotted it. I think if you wanted to turn the Miz face, you could have maybe let it marinate it a little bit. But, obviously they felt this was a good time to do it. And, with getting close to Mania, you kind of want to have Gunther get those wins, right? But it'll be a good match, but I would like to see something stiff out of these two. I'd like to see a real strong style encounter.
Absolutely. I think it'll be one of the best matches of the night for sure. And obviously we all know what we get with the Ring General with Gunther. And obviously the longest reigning Intercontinental champion. I don't think that's not going to end anytime soon. So we'll see. I think definitely a match to watch out for. In the women's War Games match, the open air War Games match, the baby faces, Bianca Belair, Charlotte Flair, Shotzi, and now just announced this past week, Becky Lynch will take on Damage Control of Kairi Sane, the holder of the coveted women's championship, Io Sky, Asuka, and Bayley in the women's War Game match. Interesting. A lot of plot development here. Storyline's been building for a while. Listen, would I be shocked if Charlotte Flair turns on Becky? Who knows, But Damage Control obviously doing its best work for some time. I think there was a moment where Damage Control was getting a little stale. That's not the case. Bayley's been doing great character work. There's a tease maybe of, who knows, maybe they'll dump Bayley soon. with Io and Asuka and Kairi Sane sort of, collectively just joining forces, as they say. Good match, all great workers, not one bad worker in this match whatsoever. I think this will be a blockbuster.
Yeah, agreed. I think that this is designed for Bailey to take the pinfall loss, for the baby faces to walk up the ramp, for Damage Control to kick her out, beat her down right then and there. Baby faces come back, help her out, and that's it. Bailey's a babyface. I think that's what this whole thing's designed. Dakota Kai will turn out to be like the brain of the Damage Control the whole time. I think that's what we're looking at.
How serious is her injury, by the way? Like, I know she's wearing a knee brace. Was it like
tore her ACL?
Oh, so she tore her ACL.
Yeah.
Okay, and that was how long ago? Anybody know?
She's still months away from working.
Okay, I was about to say,
but you can see the vast difference in WWE to AEW because she's fucking compelling on television. Adam Cole is not.
I think this is going to be a really, really good match. I see the faces going over here. I think this is a good opportunity to turn Bailey face, to kind of put her on the outs of Damage Control. The way they've been teasing it, the people involved, I think it's good. I also would not be surprised if at some point between now and Saturday, and we're recording here on a Tuesday night, Eastern Standard Time. I would not be surprised if they add Lyra Valkyria, I think her name is. I always botch her fucking name.
Yeah.
And Xia Li. They're gonna have a title match. I think they have a title match tonight. So I don't.
Over.
Oh, it's over.
I can break news and tell you who the winner was if you want.
Okay, so who was it?
Lyra.
Okay. Now, was Becky or anybody there?
No.
Okay, so they're probably not going to do it then. Then they might do 4, unless they do something on Friday. That's the only way I could see it. But all in all, man, I see the super babyface team going over. I'm expecting some good high spots. I'm expecting some good action. The women always bring it, especially in these War Games matches. So this one's going to be really good.
Yeah.
Definitely one to watch out for sure. And in the men's War Games match.
Wait. Time out. I got 2 remaining, by the way. Just saying, there's the rumor. Nakamura, CM Punk. Could happen. What do you think, Fern?
I think that building will go crazy. I think that Nakamura, certainly, listen, the heelish Nakamura has been so compelling on promos. I think he's been ruthless. There's this level of malice to his character, which is really, really compelling. Again, a testament to the pro that is Nakamura. We're going to see, obviously, at what point in time, maybe the middle, maybe in between the War Games matches, right? I wouldn't be surprised if the women's War Games match starts the PLE, and then maybe sometime during the middle or shortly before the men's War Games match, which I think will be the main event. I could be wrong. Who knows? It's been reversed sometimes. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. And I think in a building like the Allstate Arena, where we have seen some of the biggest pops ever with CM Punk going back to July of 2011, let's be honest, folks. Okay, that pop was absurd against John Cena at Money in the Bank pay-per-view in 2011. We'll see when he comes back. I think, to your point, and you mentioned this, I think, earlier, Billy Body had mentioned some rumors about CM Punk and what his arrival would mean for WWE. I think it's maybe a test run to see what the reaction is going to be. I'm sure it's going to be very favorable in Chicago. I'm sure there'll be merch. I'm sure there's going to be obviously some gimmicks available because it's Chicago. Maybe it's him. Who knows? We're not going to know until that evening, right? Because it's not like they're selling CM Punk shirts at the merch stands before you walk in. So we'll see what's available on www.shopzone.com afterwards. I think it's going to be compelling. I think there's going to be a lot of intrigue as to what he looks like. What's he done to get into better shape, right? Or did he shave off the beard? Did he dye it? Whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's stuff about presentation, right? Like,
yeah.
So in optics, like obviously Tommaso Ciampa had his beard dyed for a reason. Like, you have certain guys you want to promote a youthful component to them, right? As you're presenting them. in the ring. I think that match will be interesting. I don't know how long it'll be, but I'm sure it's going to get fans really, really popping. And let's be honest, the internet's going to break. All the AEW marks are going to be salty. They're going to be, the first botch that he has, whatever. Look at CM Punk. He's a bum. I think the AEW marks are looking for anything or the anti-CM Punk marks are looking for anything to critique and vilify. Listen, I'm sure him and Nakamura are going to have some confrontation. If it turns into an actual match, Pat, I don't know. That remains to be seen, brother. But I'm excited. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very much looking forward to it. I'm not going to lie to you. Where Pat's going next is where I'd prefer it to go, just because I would like to see that better. Like I'm just more excited about that.
What are you more excited about? What would it be?
Okada.
Okada? Well, yeah, Okada would be amazing. Okada would
if
be
it was
shit.
Okada Nakamura, I would just I feel like that would fucking steal the show.
The wrestling world would explode.
Tony Khan might overdose.
Yeah.
Like Tony Khan might just take the worst bump of his life.
That would be interesting only because
the bump?
What's the status? But like what's the status of the relationship between AEW and New Japan that now they would allow Okada to go work a WWE match? Like that would be crazy, dude. Like that would be crazy because
they let Muda go.
But Muda's not a New Japan guy. Muda's Noah. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day, New Japan and WCW had a relationship, but New Japan, Muda was his own fucking separate thing as he got older. This would be interesting if that was the case, but I don't think that's the case only because of the contractual things, especially when you have the Wrestle Kingdom match coming up with Danielson and Okada. You know, that's an AEW talent going over there, so the relationship has to be good. I gotta think it's Punk only because you revealed that it's Randy on Monday. You don't want to book back-to-back surprises because Triple H wouldn't do that. And I just have the feeling that it's going to be Punk in one of these spots. And I think booking 5 matches on the card, right? You leave that spot open for a 6th match. 6 matches is palatable. You do a quick 8 to 10 minute match with CM Punk. The entrance alone will probably be fucking longer. You know, might run maybe 15 minutes. You know, the crowd will be fucking going ballistic. The internet will explode, and then you have the War Games match right afterwards, you know, and there's going to be heat in that, man, and it's going to be good. So you're not going to take the crowd out of it, but you have to have it because at some point, you know, they're going to hijack the show. And I think people sniff that something's happening, especially because they're releasing all these extra seats there.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And again, it's a pretty big building. It's not United Center big, but to your point, the extra seats, I think, is sort of a dead giveaway, but we'll find out, obviously. And in what subsequently could be construed as the main event, guys, the men's War Games match consists of the Judgment Day, joined by Drew McIntyre, who just announced this past Monday he'll be joining the team, not necessarily joining Judgment Day, but joining the team against Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, Jey Uso, Sami Zayn, as announced by Cody Rhodes last night. The Viper will return for his first in-ring action since May of 2022. Some serious back surgery for Randy Orton. I mean, this is a guy who's been going out for over 20 years. He's put his body through the ringer. Durable, sure, he's still around. We'll see what he looks like. Again, I know that on our way to Prudential Center on Saturday night to go see our Devils play the Blue Skirts from Broadway, we did get a chance to listen to Billy Bode and his all of his exclusive wrestling news that he makes available.
That is the worst fucking English accent impersonation. You started out English and then you became Arnold Schwarzenegger. I don't know what happened there.
I can do Austin Powers, baby, but you know, like you can do Billy Body better. Come on, Pat.
I got to work on it a little bit more, but you know, CM Punk and you know, Triple H. He says Triple H. But yeah, I mean, we did hear that Randy's weighing about 250 now. Randy ran 250, and he's pretty fucking solid. He's big. He's muscular again.
Bro, 250 is big for him.
Yeah,
he must be shredded. He must be like, holy shit.
Yeah, he's gonna be solid muscle, man. He's gonna be solid muscle. Yeah. But Billy did say that he's bulked up considerably. And I think a lot of that also has to do to take care of his back, to make sure that his back is safe, and be as muscular as he can be.
But it's really smart to have him in a multi-man match so he doesn't have to do all the work by himself. He's going to take a lot of rest spots.
Yeah,
He'll
that
probably-
makes sense
he'll
for the
probably be
match.
he's going to sell. He's going to sell most of the time,
He'll
Yeah.
probably be the last guy in the order, obviously in the order that the guys enter the ring. He'll probably be the last one. Who knows?
Yeah, if it was AEW, he'd be the fucking first man out there. So, I mean, that's how they treat
Like
their
Omega.
talent.
Remember Omega was the first guy and he got destroyed?
Yeah,
And
it would be on a scaffold too. Like they'd put him on a scaffold. He'd be the first guy out there, and there'd be glass and a shark tank on one side or the other. Like both sides of the ring.
100%.
Guys, again, you want to talk about storytelling. I mean, the story they've been telling for months now with the Judgment Day, some dissension, is Damian Priest going to be the odd man out soon with McIntyre turning heel? I think to the point that we listened with Billy Body over the weekend, the desire to have another compelling main event Hispanic / Latino star, I think weighs heavily here with Damian Priest. I think he checks off a lot of boxes. Good promo. He's gotten much better over the years, right? Good worker. A little older than some of the other guys on the roster for sure. He has some mileage, but he's a guy that, listen, you put the briefcase on him for a reason. And I think he's a guy that if he breaks off from the Judgment Day and turns babyface, how that happens, I don't know. I mean, it seems like this match, very much like Bayley getting turned on, it would almost seem like this could also create the climate that Damian Priest gets turned on and subsequently goes babyface and exits the Judgment Day. I think it's a great match overall, guys.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think that there's a lot of good heat going into it. I think everybody involved, they're all performing really, really well. The Judgment Day as a whole, I think is fantastic. To some extent they kind of borrowed a little bit from Sammy and the Bloodline with JD in the Judgment Day. But it's not more comedic. But he's been excellent. And I just think that you have Cody, who's the biggest face in the company. You have Jay, who's one of the biggest faces in the company. You have Sammy, who's one of the biggest faces in the company. And Randy returning. I mean, I think it's fantastic, man. I just think that this is WWE at their best. This is them doing what they do, telling stories. And again, all of it extends from Roman Reigns one way or another. All of it, even the Judgment Day, all of it. It's all interconnected with Roman Reigns, and you're doing this without Roman Reigns, and it's still really, really, really great stuff. I think that this match is they're not gonna lose the crowd. They're not gonna even if Punk comes back, which will be a big thing. You're not going to lose the crowd here. And I think the crowd is going to be invested in this match because of the character work that you've done with everybody involved here.
Yeah. Guys, it's interesting. Something just popped in my head right now about Randy being in this match. And obviously to get to Mania, where you're already seeing the seeds being planted, obviously Cody Rhodes still going after the Bloodline, still interjecting himself in the storyline against the Bloodline. You have to kind of give Cody something to do between now and Rumble and now in Mania. Would it be the worst thing if Randy comes in and turns on him and maybe you set up a Randy Cody feud into the Rumble?
No.
That's the first thing I thought. I was like, hey, this would not be a good sort of, not transition, but a good temporary feud to, again, I think keep Randy in a main event status, to, again, continue to feature Cody, and not to say give Cody something to do until Mania, but, again, a new opponent for Cody, as it seems like Rock's not going to be involved with Mania, from what we're seeing. Then they're building towards Cody Roman 2 in Philadelphia next April. Again, would we really be shocked if Orton turned on him? There's some heat there, right? There's a backstory there, going back some time, some years, right? Okay. Wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but, one thing at a time, as they say.
Yep.
I wouldn't hotshot it. I wouldn't want to see it hotshotted, honestly. I think that they would be better off keeping Randy all happy, RK bro Randy, where he was still kind of like, upbeat and chipper and all that. And, you kind of tell the story that this guy's just happy to be back because he didn't think he would be. You have him come out and cut a promo after the War Games match. Keep him fucking babyface until Cody wins the title. Then when Cody wins the title, Randy turns on him because Randy wants the title one last time before he fucking hangs it up. That's interesting to me. Yeah. But I mean, that's just me. But I mean, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world though if they hot-shotted that. It wouldn't be.
Yeah.
You also have to consider how long you have Randy in this window too. You know what I'm saying? What his health status is, everything. It's a lot of stuff to consider. And I think that you got to weigh up all those options,
And just for clarification purposes though, was it spinal fusion surgery? Did he have spinal stenosis? I don't recall. I mean, I haven't Googled it, but
I'm not a doctor, and I'm not going to do what everybody did during the pandemic. So no, I can't say.
Absolutely.
Maybe find out. Google it. Talk to Dr. Andrews. Call his office tomorrow. I don't know.
D, get back on the fucking show, D. This is what we need you for. Do your homework. Here.
He's pulling at you. That's the problem.
Well, I mean, listen.
He ain't the Iron Man.
Maybe he's got to spend time with the family. It's Thanksgiving week. So who knows? But yeah, guys, Survivor Series. War Games, the 36th edition on Peacock, obviously available on regular pay-per-view as well. And why would you pay $50 for this when you can just subscribe to Peacock is beyond me. But we'll see. Good card. And to Pat's point, potentially only 6 matches. That's good for 3 hours, right? Who would think that, right? As opposed to 11 matches in 5 hours. I mean, Jesus Christ. Go figure. So it should be good, obviously, coming up this Saturday. And I think, to my knowledge, I don't think the only other PLE for the rest of the year is an NXT-themed PLE coming up in December. And then, the holidays come and go, and it's time for the Royal Rumble in Tampa in January. So we'll see. But certainly some seeds are going to be planted going into 2024 and what happens at the Rumble, maybe at Mania 2 this Saturday, emanating from the All-State Arena in Chicago, Illinois. Guys, before we call it a night here, on this day in wrestling history, November the 21st, much to Macho's chagrin and delight, like my own as well, on this day, WCW was born. Yes, media mogul Ted Turner took over Jim Crockett Promotions and renamed it World Championship Wrestling. We're going to directly compete against the WWF/WWE for the next few years, a couple of decades, actually, on this day. Also on this day in 1989, WCW's pay-per-view Mayhem aired from the Air Canada Centre in Toronto, Ontario, and it featured the conclusion of a month-long tournament to crown a new WCW World Heavyweight Champion. The first semifinal match, Chris Benoit beat Jeff Jarrett, and in the second semifinal match, Bret the Hitman Hart defeated Sting. The main event was won by Hart when he used a sharpshooter to make Chris Benoit tap out, thus crowning Bret the Hitman Hart the new WCW World Champion. One of the few highlights that Bret Hart had during his time in WCW. On this date, also in 2005, following the untimely death of Eddie Guerrero earlier in the month, in part from a dependency on prescription drugs, the WWE announced the implementation of a comprehensive drug testing policy that went on to be known as the Wellness Policy. Under the scheme, WWE set out a specific set of guidelines, testing, punishment, and rehabilitation with the aim of reducing legal and illegal drug use within the company. Some notable suspensions since that policy was instituted, as we all know, Randy Orton, Roman Reigns, as well as others were victims of that Wellness Policy. Certainly after the untimely death of Eddie Guerrero, a great move by Vince McMahon in a corporate structure to do that. Also on this day in 2009, featuring the first time Hulk Hogan ever fought in Australia, Hulkamania Let the Battle Begin Day 1 started in Melbourne, Australia. A card that, a little forgettable. Brutus Beefcake defeated Heidenreich. Nick Dinsmore, a.k.a. Eugene, and the Pimp Father, known as the Godfather, defeated Billy Blade and Cat Anthony. Mr. Anderson would defeat Sean Morley, a.k.a. Val Venus. And the main event saw Hulk Hogan defeat Ric Flair in his first match since he retired at WrestleMania the previous year. at the hands of Shawn Michaels. And also on this day in 2010, the Survivor Series was held at the American Airlines Arena, home of the Miami Heat.
That's fucking great. That's great.
Caught in 4K.
Natalya won her first championship after beating then Laycool, the combination of Layla and Michelle McCool, in a 2-on-1 handicap match to win the WWE Divas title. And in the main event, Randy Orton retained the WWE Championship against Wade Barrett, with John Cena as a special referee, as was billed the fired or free match on the card as a stipulation in the match. Because Orton won, Cena was fired. Had Barrett won, Cena would have been freed from being part of the Nexus. Another convoluted bullshit thing in 2010, but Jesus. Cena didn't stay fired for long. What a surprise, as he would be back on the main roster the next month. Until then, someone with a very similar build and moveset named Juan Cena wrestled under a mask on multiple live house shows throughout the rest of the month in 2010. All of this good stuff, folks, on this day in pro wrestling history. Guys, what we got here on Thanksgiving week?
On this day, I see clearly, and I don't remember the rest, but it's been really nice having been on the show again. And I just want to thank you guys for having me on. It's always real great fun being with you. LA Night sucks.
Yeah, man. Yeah, today was a good show. Definitely looking forward to Survivor Series. It'll be nice to cleanse our palate after that shit show that we saw on Saturday. So looking forward to a good pay-per-view or premium live event. Definitely looking forward to seeing whether it's Okada, Punk. We know it's Randy Orton. Definitely going to be some great matches, good stories being told this weekend. I believe that the go-home show on Friday is going to be nice too.
Yeah.
So looking forward to it. Thursday night's all about, hopefully the Seahawks don't ruin my Thanksgiving, because this will be the second time where they play the Niners on Thanksgiving. But I don't know who your Cowgirls are playing. So
the Cowboys are playing the Washington Redskins. So
okay. Well,
the traditional Thanksgiving Day game at 4:30, obviously preceded by the Lions, which actually are playing a meaningful Thanksgiving game for the first time in a long time against the Packers.
Man. Last time the Detroit Lions were 8-2, John F. Kennedy was the president. So damn.
That's a long, long time ago. But to everybody out there, again, we are so thankful during this Thanksgiving week to all our fans, to all our viewers that tune in every single week. I'm thankful to both of you guys for this show and how great our chemistry is. I'm thankful to see Black Pussy on Pat's Space right now. Certainly here on the program. And again, everybody, we cannot thank you enough for making this a part of your Tuesday night viewing in multiple hosts. Hopefully we'll get Dee Rotten back. Hopefully he shaves his I'll be thankful if he shaves that Amish beard, which was hideous, by the way. So hopefully we'll get rid of that.
Why you care so much about how guys look, bro?
What's that? Well, I mean,
why you care so much?
Metrosexual, bro. He likes it.
What's that? Yeah, listen, I'm a bougie pretty boy, Pat. Come on, bro. Like, that's just the way we are.
You were gonna say something else, and you had to check yourself.
No, I didn't.
All right, guys. Until next week.
Happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy Black Friday. Some of those sales.
Happy Hanukkah.
I prefer fucking groceries be on sale than plasma TVs, but what do I know? Guys, he is the Pitbull, Pennsylvania's most esteemed wrestling observer, Macho Rodriguez. He is the Working the Marks Iron Man. Obviously the longest duration on the show. Maybe not the most punctual, but certainly the longest duration. Patty Rican. I am New Jersey's premier award-winning journalist and proud NAACP member, Fernando Uribe. Folks, if we're talking about it here on Famcast Media, you know that we're working the marks. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. We'll see you next week here, once again, on Famcast Media.
Famcast Media.